And furthermore, we'll talk about that today on Bible Time. Hello again, everyone. Thank you for joining me for Bible Time. I want to continue what I started talking about last week when I was talking about the existence of God and how God came to me and said, ask me if I exist. And I brought forth some very simple evidence that creation demands a creator and laws demand a lawgiver and so on. But there's one thing that I didn't talk about, and, fulfilled prophecy, sure, we could talk about those all day, but we see the evidence in lives that are changed. And I mean truly changed. And, a lot of times we say that people just don't change. Well, people don't change on their own very often, but God changes people. Yes, God really does change people. He pulls them out of the depths and into a new life, and he changes their mindset, their attitudes, their way of life. He changes all kinds of things about people. I'm one of them. My life has changed simply because of God. Is it just because of my belief in God, or is it because some higher power altered my life? Well, I tend to believe that some higher power altered my life. And I could go on and give you a grand testimony of all the ways that God has changed my life, but I wouldn't bore you with that. But anyway, we can look at the evidence in people. Now, sometimes people will say, well, yeah, I know so-and-so started going to church and now they're a religious nut. Well, is that really a life changed? If someone gets steeped in religion, they're still part of this world, because religion is of this world. It is not of God. God did not create religion. Humans created religion. So, if someone becomes very religious and follows the rules and is very legalistic and so on, well, then I would ask, yeah, they changed, but they didn't change to a godly life. I know that's not really fair to say, and I do have meaning behind it, and I'm going to try to explain it, but what I'm saying is that when God changes your life, there's a noticeable difference, not only for you, but for those who see you. And I'm not talking about giving up the sinful life. Sure, that's a huge part of it. But I mean, there is a noticeable change in personality and attitude, in everything about a person who has truly been changed by God. And this proves that the existence of God, because people just don't change on their own. And, somebody might say, yeah, well, that's kind of a stretch, Phil. Well, again, it goes back to faith. And faith is believing in what we cannot see and having the conviction that it's real. So part of the evidence of God existing is seeing people who change and have a more abundant life, because God has promised this. And another thing that I forgot to mention last week was that the Bible doesn't tell us to have blind faith. God says in 1 Thessalonians 5:1 through the Apostle Paul, he says, test all things, see that they're real. He wants us to test him, not to put him to the test and to get what we want, but he came to me and said, ask me if I exist. He wants us to challenge him so that he can show himself to us. You see, God is such a gentleman. He's never going to force anything upon you. He's never going to open up your head and pour in all the knowledge and say, here, believe me. But he does present to you, this is the way, walk in it, and we have a choice. What a beautiful thing that God has given us in choice. What also a curse God has given us in a choice. We can choose to eat that piece of candy or walk away from it. We can choose to put that quarter in the slot machine or walk away. I mean, do you put quarters in slot machines anymore, or is it all with a card? I don't know. Anyway, we have all kinds of choices. We can choose to take that drink of alcohol or walk away. We can choose whatever we want, good and bad. And there are consequences for all of our choices. And it's not always easy to choose because we have these chemical imbalances in our bodies and these addictions that come from various things, and it causes us, and it manipulates our mind and alters our mind. And then you have the enemy amplifying it all, making it worse. It's difficult. But God never promised this life would be easy. But he did promise that he would give us an abundant life, both here on earth and in heaven. And we see proof of that sometimes in ourselves and in other people. And that is further evidence that God exists. At least for me it is. You may disagree. Let me know. Drop me a comment. Tell me that you disagree. Share this video with someone that you think might want to disagree with me or agree with me. It's up to you. You have a choice. So, does God exist? Most definitely 100%. When did he begin? I believe that's why the earth is round. Where is the beginning of the earth? Where is the starting point? Is it the North Pole? Why not the South Pole? Is it the equator? Where at on the equator? Where is the beginning? Where's the end? There is none. And that's why the earth's round, because there is no beginning and no end to God. Now, I'm not saying God's a circle, but I'm saying he has no beginning and no end. And there's so much more that we don't know about him that someday we'll find out if we put our faith and trust in him and in his son, Jesus Christ. The other religions of the world, they might change people, but they don't change them the way a relationship with the true one living God does. Other religions of the world will get you close to a God, and it may not be the God, the only God. But Christianity, a belief in Jesus Christ, a relationship with him, that gets you everything and will change your life. That's your Bible time for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you again all real soon. God bless.